Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Wellness Education webinar. My name is Vanessa Laro, and I am today's Health Education Webinar Coordinator. Today's webinar is I Hate to Cook, but I Want to Eat Healthy. Today's health educator is Drew Correa. Drew is a registered dietitian who graduated from Loma Linda University. She currently works for Beaver Medical Group with her special interests being food sensitivities and disease prevention through nutrition. She will be presenting today's webinar. Welcome, Drew.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad to be talking to you today about helping you get to your best life. Since you're listening today, I assume you may be feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, and falling into the trap that it's just easier to eat out. But taking on the challenge of cooking at home is well worth the work. It's amazing how great you will feel. So let's get cooking. So you are what you eat. The question then is, how do you want to look and feel on the inside? Food is our fuel and nutrition. Do you want premium fuel that makes you feel vibrant or fuel that bogs you down and makes you feel sluggish? The more processed your food is, the nutrients are processed right out of it. So then some are added back in, which is a good thing, but you're still not getting the full value of the food. The more food is closest to its natural form, it's much more full of nutrients. So cooking at home gives you so much more control over what is going into your body. I like to think about how vibrant, healthy food looks on my plate, full of color and texture, and how it equates to the vibrancy of improved energy along with great health. Incorporating more nutrients into your day will help restore your body and help prevent diseases such as diabetes. Also, eating healthy makes it so much easier to manage weight. When food is in its whole form, closest to what it looks like in nature, it fills us up much faster and we eat less. Talk about portion control. So if we are what we eat, then we can think of nutrition as a way of providing our bodies with the tools and equipment it needs to optimally perform every day. Good food will provide your body with a great 24-hour assistant that makes sure everything gets completed. If you look at this chart here, you can kind of see some of how the foods, how they break down in the body and how they prevent some diseases. So this chart breaks down what benefits we can receive. So for example, if you look at apples, the apples can actually prevent constipation and block diarrhea, and that's because it's full of soluble fiber. Or broccoli, if you look down towards the bottom, you'll see that broccoli strengthens our bones, and that's due to its high calcium content. And it also helps to save our eyesight since it's rich in vitamin A. Broccoli is also rich in a mineral called chromium, which is known to help stabilize blood glucose. So then broccoli also helps with blood glucose control and diabetes. It's important to realize that the vitamins, minerals, fiber, and protein and fat in food actually all have a purpose. So what is healthy food or clean eating? One thing I've come to realize is that people are under the impression that healthy food is only food that does not come in a package and requires a lot of time to prepare. So they feel very discouraged on how to incorporate cooking into their life. Basically, healthy food is food that is minimally processed. It's in its whole form and it has minimal ingredients or additives. So minimally processed foods still look whole, but they might already be cleaned and chopped, for example, frozen broccoli. Or how about canned foods like tomatoes and beans, or packaged rice and oats? It's very important to start looking at the ingredients. If you don't know what is in your food, if you don't understand what the ingredients are, then it's really important to maybe not eat it. When you start looking at ingredients, it really helps you weed out the bad food and incorporate the good food into your diet. So another important thing is to remember you don't have to reinvent the wheel and to keep it very simple. Cooking is basically assembly. I think there's so much information on the internet. People are posting beautiful meals on Facebook and Pinterest. This can put a lot of pressure on us to be a gourmet chef. You should see how simple I make things at home during the week to make sure we get a nice balanced meal at night. And I save the fancy stuff for maybe a day off. So needless to say, so many other things are important in our lives that I know for myself, I don't have too many meals that I could take a picture of and share. So it really is okay to be good enough. Also, try and start to think about your hurdles. So is it time that's a problem? Is it lack of ingredients that you have available? Maybe it's lack of support. Maybe you're the only one doing all the work and it feels a little overwhelming at times. Or maybe you're also worried about using some pre-made items. So it is time to kind of start looking at what might be a problem and address it so that you can get cooking a little bit quicker. So, take it one step at a time. Remember, you're not in a race. Set some goals that you can accomplish and build from there. And always think about maybe asking for help. So you can use your search engine on your computer to research different ways to cook and different recipes, but also ask the people in your household to maybe, help you plan or maybe help you cook. So it's called divide and conquer the job ahead. So you may be thinking now, how do I accomplish all of this? Well, the most important part for cooking at home is the planning. So it's really key to the whole, whether or not it's going to work out or not. So it's important to maybe set some time aside each week to maybe talk to the other family members about their upcoming schedules and just see what's going on and try and organize from there. You might start thinking about maybe starting with just 1 or 2 meals a week. Instead of thinking you're going to cook the whole week, just plan 1 or 2. Make sure that you try some recipes that you already have some of the items at home. It can be quite frustrating to try a recipe with a spice you have no idea what it is or where to find it. If you need ideas, you might think about maybe trying some of the meal delivery services. I've used Blue Apron before. I am going to have an additional handout that will list some of these meal services, these meal delivery services. But, if you haven't really been cooking and you're not familiar with a lot of spices and flavors, it can really be a great way to experiment before you invest in, shopping for the items and keeping them at home. Next, it's important to also make a shopping list. Go through and see what you have on hand and then make your list so that you're organized when you go to the store. It's important to be flexible with yourself and others. It's okay to put a meal on hold. If something comes up, maybe a friend calls and wants to go to dinner, you might just make a goal that you will definitely cook that meal the next night so it doesn't go to waste. Another thing too is if you're struggling with planning the meals, not sure, what to make and how to organize it. There is this one site, it's called eMeals, and this site will actually help you learn to plan and organize. You just pick the meals that you want to put into your weekly plan, and actually will develop the shopping list for you. Now, there is a small fee for the, there's a fee for the meal delivery. Obviously, you're going to have to pay for the food. There's a small fee for the e-meals, but it's really good to learn, and then you can go ahead and cancel the service after you kind of got it in control. All right, so it's really important to build a pantry and stock your fridge. And the good news is, when you're struggling with cooking, there is so much more available to us that we don't have to do everything. We don't have to reinvent that wheel. So many companies are doing so much of the work, we really have no excuse to not eat at home. And companies are really hopping on board to make sure that we have better quality foods available. It's important to remember that it takes time to transition to a healthy pantry or to even build a pantry. You just start with one food at a time, and then you grow from there. It really can take up to a couple months or longer to kind of figure out what you want to have in your pantry and what you want to always keep on hand. Remember, your freezer is a great place to store meals. So if you make a big pot of soup or a stew, they really will store for about 2 to 3 months. Don't forget to date them and label them so you know what's in. Try not to get stuck in the trap of that you can't use frozen or canned goods. I have a lot of patients, they feel guilty that they've used something canned, but if you remember to look at the ingredients and try and find things in their most purest form, then canned is great, frozen is great. You might think about letting someone else do the chopping and planning. I've listed here some resources. One of them is the Prep Table, and it's a local company here in Redlands. You go online and you can choose from cut up vegetables, cut fruits, and they even have meal kits. All you have to do is order them, and you do have to pick them up. The meal kits come with instructions, just like if you were ordering from Blue Apron. So that's kind of a nice thing to have that's local, and then you're not kind of stuck into having to change your order, stop your order. You can order as you desire. Also, going to stores like Trader Joe's and Sprouts, they have tons of prepared frozen and fresh foods that a lot of the prep work is done. I went to Sprouts when it first opened, and they had the zucchini noodles, the zoodles. So that's kind of nice. If you don't have a spiralizer at home, you can buy it already done. Costco has many helpful items. I've seen pre-cooked brown rice there, so that's kind of a nice thing. You don't have to have a rice cooker. All you have to do is heat it up. And even your major grocery stores are competing, and they're offering more cut-up items. They're even offering meal kits, so you can go to your local grocery store. Another thing too is maybe try shopping in the bulk food section. So I know that Sprouts, Trader Joe's, well, no, Trader Joe's doesn't, I'm sorry about that, but Sprouts and Gerard's actually here, they do have a bulk section. So if you are not familiar with using quinoa maybe, you could buy just a scoop of quinoa and play around with it at home, and therefore you're not wasting a whole bag. And again, just remember to not reinvent the wheel. If you understand the ingredients in the food that you are purchasing, no matter what package it's in, then the sky's the limit on what you can buy. Here's a list of some pantry staples that will last. So just kind of going through, we have some whole grains like brown rice, oats, and barley. And just in a kind of a note, don't forget that you can buy frozen and already cooked brown rice and oats. I know one of my favorites is the frozen brown rice. All I have to do is pop it in the microwave and add some seasonings. Moving down to the beans and the legumes. Canned is great. If you don't want to make your own beans, you can look for the low sodium, no salt added, and again, check for additives. Trader Joe's has a cooked lentils in a vacuum package, so that's really easy to pop in the freezer and then just go ahead and warm them up when you're ready to use them. Sweeteners, along with honey, you can also use pure maple syrup. That's a great choice to keep on hand. Spices, don't forget about powders. You don't necessarily have to have fresh onion, garlic, and ginger. You can use onion powder, garlic powder, ginger powder. You don't need to always have that fresh. And nut butters. I think having all those different choices now, almond butter, cashew butter, sunflower butter, they're a great source of protein, and if you want an easy meal, a PB&J really comes in handy. So these are some items that I keep on hand, and I know that I can make a meal if I have all these items. So I've taken a couple pictures and I've listed what I typically keep in my household. And if you think about it, if we look here, I could make a spinach salad one night. I've got my baby organic spinach, and I might cook up some chicken. I can make a dressing, honey mustard dressing using my apple cider vinegar, honey, mustard. I can also maybe put in a hard-boiled egg into that salad. So I have a lot of choices to put a nice healthy meal together with very limited things here. You can see my list isn't that big. So here's some cooking tips. I think it's really important that if you're going to get your knife out and your cutting board, do a little extra work for the week ahead. So let's say you're cooking something where you have to chop up some celery and carrots. Go ahead and cut all the celery and carrots up into maybe some carrot sticks. That way you have some veggies for the week that you can use. Some of your produce, once you prep it, it can spoil easily, like lettuce, but if you just make sure that it doesn't have a lot of moisture, like maybe putting in a Tupperware with a paper towel, it'll last a few days. Read up on some meal prepping. You can make a whole week worth of meals in one afternoon. You will have to purchase some containers, some storage containers, but there is so much information on the computer and books. Just Google meal prepping. Slow cookers are great. I have a slow cooker that has a removable insert, so I just brown and saute my food, pop it back into the crock pot and turn it on, and it's ready to go. And a lot of people are also using the Instapots or Instant Pots, and you can cook from frozen in 20 minutes. Don't forget the power of your freezer. There's nothing better than taking out a container of frozen food. All you need to do is heat it up, maybe add in a salad. You could just use a salad kit, and it's a pretty easy meal. I love parchment paper. I keep that on hand all the time. You can use it in the oven for roasting, baking. It makes really easy cleanup. You can make a pouch. You just have to, maybe put some sliced potatoes, onions, and maybe some green beans and some fish, drizzle on some olive oil, salt and pepper, seal it up, and you can bake it. I always put it on a cookie sheet, and so you can bake it or you can put it on the grill to bake it. It's really important to keep things simple at first. You have to kind of figure out what you're doing, and then you can work from there. There are a lot of they call them 5-ingredient recipes online, and there are cookbooks, which makes your meal even easier. I just made one the other night and basically had sweet potatoes, can of black beans, and chunky salsa, oil, and vegetable broth, and it made a chili, and actually it was pretty good. I'll make it again. When you're looking at simple meals, how about sandwich night? We have that once a week, maybe a turkey sandwich, tuna sandwich, cut up veggies, maybe a handful of chips, cup of soup. So again, you don't have to be a gourmet to cook at home. Flavor does make a huge difference. A lot of people come in, they say they're really bored when they're eating healthy. I think in this flavor-filled society, think about how everything's pumpkin flavored these days. We've forgotten how wonderful plain foods can taste. But there's so many prepared seasonings and sauces out there to help enhance and change a meal and still keep within the parameters of minimally processed. I did list them here, I'm sorry. 3 things that I do keep on hand is chili garlic sauce, a jar of pesto, and some low sodium taco seasoning. So I kind of put a couple meals up here on the slide. And so first we have some fish and some potatoes. And we've grilled and roasted the potatoes with olive oil, garlic, salt, and pepper. And we have some green beans that we've steamed in the microwave. But now for the next meal, we're going to put some chili garlic sauce on the fish and the potatoes. Cook them the same way. Saute some onion in olive oil and toss with some steamed green beans. And then sprinkle on maybe some toasted sesame seeds. So now we have the same food, but a whole different flavor. So be kind of, experiment with some of those different flavors, the chili garlic sauce and so on. So I have here a slide that's got some nice, easy, healthy meal ideas. They're still simple meals. So lunch, they've got a pizza quesadilla or chicken quesadilla, peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Dinner, you could make up some casserole, and that's a nice thing you could store in the freezer for a couple months and, maybe pull that out weekly. Just some grilled baked chicken, veggie and potato, chili and cornbread. So these, you can print this slide out and use these for some menu planning if you'd like. So don't underestimate that power of a sandwich or a quesadilla or burritos, or even making breakfast for dinner. And of course, learn to love leftovers. So maybe you're thinking, I don't know where to start. So I kind of put up a couple of ideas here. Cooking classes are great. You can go online and they'll have the whole demonstration, YouTube, or you may even be able to sign up for some type of a cooking class. Maybe for a few weeks you try one of those meal delivery services like Blue Apron or Home Chef or HelloFresh. Freshly will actually deliver a fully cooked meal that all you have to do is heat up. Again, grocery stores are selling meal kits. You can go on the prep table and see what they've got to offer. You can go on this e-meals, and it's going to help create menus and shopping lists. I'm signed up on FitnessPal, and I noticed they now have meal collections to help you plan your meals too. And up at the top it says, get the family involved. I think that's probably one of the most important things that you can do, and it will help you. You know, many hands are going to be very helpful. It's important for kids to learn to cook at a young age. If you're struggling to cook, think about how they're going to struggle to cook because they're not going to learn. It also will help them improve on their palate. They'll discover new flavors. And all adults on board, someone can plan and maybe make the list. Someone else can do the shopping. Maybe everyone can help cook, and of course, everyone can help clean up. So above all, I think it's really important to remember why you are doing all of this. If we look at this slide here, the picture, Hippocrates, let food be thy medicine. You remember that food can heal. Your body can restore itself with nutrition, and nutrition can prevent disease. For example, someone with a fatty liver can clean up their diet and no longer have elevated enzymes. Or kidney function can improve, and blood glucose can go back to normal levels, all with a healthy diet. Another thing is that cooking and eating at the table, even cleanup, is a great way to connect to one another. And social well-being is a very important part of a healthy lifestyle. It's an important note to remember you don't have to be perfect to be healthy. It's all about the small successes you have along the way. So take your time. We're all a work in progress. So that's pretty much the end of this webinar. I hope you've enjoyed it. Be sure to check with Health Education directly. You can stop in or call. Our phone number is 909-335-4131. You can go on our website, beavermedicalgroup.com, to find out about future webinars. Again, you can download these slides, the webinar slides, and again, there is an additional handout that has some meal planning resources that we've talked about today, but I've noticed the other night on TV another one's been added, so I guess always check the internet and you'll find that there are new ones out there to help you out. So I hope that you're able to start cooking maybe tomorrow. But if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you. You can email me at my email address listed here. And again, thank you for attending today.
Thank you, Drew, for that really wonderful webinar, and thanks everybody for participating in today's class. So hopefully you did enjoy it as I did. As was mentioned by Drew, if you want to check out any of our future classes, you can look at under the handout section, and you'll be able to see on there that we have the November classes, December classes. We have lots of really great ones coming up. And then also we have some meal planning resources, as was mentioned, in case you didn't hear that part. And then the slides are available as well in a PDF form. So definitely print that out and keep it handy, because there was a lot of good information that was taught today, and I hope that you guys were able to retain all of it. So again, join us in the future. We love having you, and invite your friends as well. Have a wonderful evening and stay safe out there. Good night.